Hey everyone, Rho here. Today we are discussing one of, if not the greatest character in all of the 40k lore, and that is Malcador the Sigillite. Today we are talking the evolution of his relationship with the Primarchs. General spoiler warning to begin, the events we are discussing today are from across the world of Warhammer 40k, so you have been warned. But with that said, let's just jump straight in. Okay, Malcador the Sigillite, right-hand man to the Emperor of Mankind. For as long as there's been the Emperor, Malcador has been by his side. There is no one the Emperor has relied more on or trusted more than Malcador. He was and is the only being in the entire galaxy the Emperor would undoubtedly call his friend, if not his brother, figuratively speaking at least. And in being so devoted to the Emperor's cause, Malcador has been integral to assisting him with his grand plans, and none more so than the creation of the Primarchs. The 20 weapons of war, who were to be the generals of the Emperor's armies, to lead his crusade out across the stars. And perhaps the key phrase there is weapons, because that was exactly what the Primarchs were created to be. The Primarchs were created to be weapons and weapons alone. And that may surprise people who know my opinion on the loving Emperor, but I'm talking specifically the original intentions. The Emperor was making the tools for war he needed. He didn't intend or mean to begin caring for them. That is just a byproduct and proof of his humanity. However, it's this original intent of tools or weapons that is actually surprisingly reflected by Malcador. In the novel Valdor, which is an absolute masterclass by Chris Rate as usual, we get to see the Imperium at its earliest, before even the Great Crusade. But more importantly, we get an early Malcador as well, and hereafter returning to the beginnings of the future Imperial Palace, Malcador reunites with Valdor, and during their conversation he relays to Valdor that the Emperor now believes the Primarchs have been scattered and not slain as he originally believed. And then, seemingly rather incredulously, Malcador says that the Emperor's started calling them his sons, and asking if Valdor can believe it. And this, for the Malcador we are used to in the days of the Heresy, is really quite surprising. It sounds very out of character to the Malcador we know, but it's this moment that goes to show how far Malcador's relationship and bond will truly grow with these weapons over the years. And we see this early, colder Malcador again in Alfarius' Primarch novel, Head of the Hydra. And this Malcador is one who views the Primarchs with great suspicion and wariness, and he views Alfarius as if looking to find fault or flaw as much as trying to test his abilities. And again, that is very understandable, as Malcador has yet had time to truly get to know these would-be Primarchs, to yet have those bonds of attachment grow. Though we do see here the earliest glimmers of his more mentor-esque role beginning. And then over the years, as more Primarchs are found, more and more Malcador's relationships and attachments are forged. Slowly the hardline weapon viewpoint is clearly overridden by the more fatherly and paternal emotions, those natural human instincts that evolve in the company of others, particularly those that you feel a responsibility towards. And a good example of this can be seen in Jagatai Khan's Primarch novel Warhawk of Chagoris, Here the wariness is on the other foot, as Jaghatai has done his best to even avoid meeting Malcador, to which the old man can only lament his regret. But as Jaghatai argues the imperial truth, as he has been doing with his father, stating that they should have just made the Primarchs machines, Malcador makes a really defining remark, along the lines that it would have taken out the joy as well. And that here to me really symbolises the evolution of Malcador's bond, the beauty of humanity and the human heart, the capacity for love and caring for people and things that may not be our own children or blood, but still instinctually grows. Malcador, whether knowingly or not, has gone from finding the Emperor's initial comments of sons surprising to clearly caring about them himself. The statement of joy clearly demonstrates how far Malcador has come in this regard. He has come to find getting to know these Primarchs and learning their personalities a joy. And we know how much further he would ultimately end up, quite literally and figuratively a substitute father for the Emperor. When speaking to them of the Emperor, he refers to him as their father, and thus them his sons, clearly having embraced this notion of family. And with Russ in Wolfsbane, it's an unspoken affection, but it's one of the most poignant relationships you'll see Malcador have with the Primarchs. Honestly, so much so, I expect Russ to be truly gutted when he learns of Malcador's death. Later in the final days of the heresy upon Terra, we see Sanguinius warmly refer to the old man as uncle, and this is clearly a genuine term of affection. And then he uses the term later again, after Malcador has essentially just scolded him. And that situation again is the perfect symbol of what Malcador has ultimately become to the Primarchs. He is in essence their uncle, someone who looks down on these children, because that's exactly what they are to him, looking down with genuine love and affection. Is he their blood relation? Well, as far as we know, no. But that again makes their relationship all the more real too. I'm sure there's lots of people out there who had aunts and uncles growing up that weren't necessarily your true blood relations. Maybe parents of one of your friends or close friends of your parents. But that's just what you ended up calling them. They became your aunts and uncles, and thus that's the role they took. And so too here with Malcador. But more so than that, he still had to guide and instruct them on their ultimate goal, the crusade of conquest, and as such he too had to continue the task of teacher and mentor. And those roles too at times require punishment. I mean, outside of the Emperor himself, there really was only Malcador who could stand before a Primarch and scold them. For the ones he was perhaps closest with, he could do so with but a word. The respect the old man had earned enough to halt even the demigods before him, such as with Sanguinius. With other perhaps more hot-headed ones, or perhaps with those he had not managed to foster such a fond relationship with, those required Malcador to use his formidable sorcerer abilities, such as putting an irate future War Master himself back in his place, all the while having two other Primarchs begging to let him go, which still remains one of the best moments in all of the Heresy series. And really there are many other moments that we haven't even mentioned that truly help to showcase the evolution of Malcador's relationship with the Primarchs. And overall, it simply helps to make not only one of the most fascinating characters in the Heresy, but one of, if not the greatest relationship story arcs too. Even including that final encounter with Magnus, because there's no one more than Malcador who knows what he's risking by meeting him. and yet he still goes. And not because to me he knows he has to, which he undoubtedly does, but because while I can't say for certain, I'm willing to bet a large part of him wants to. And that is the beauty of the character of Malcador. Malcador the hero. Man, how I wish he could be around in the 40k timeline. What an absolute legend this character is. But as always guys, what do you think? What do you think of Malcador's relationship with the Primarchs? Those ones which are clearly good, those ones which are clearly a fond, loving relationship, those that may be more teacher than uncle, and those ones which he clearly struggled to foster any kind of fond relationship with. As always, leave your thoughts in the comments below. As always, huge thank you to all of my subscribers. Your support truly means a lot to me, it really does. And if you're new, please consider subscribing to help the channel grow. But with that said, I am off and I'll see you all again real soon.